Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ GOONS podcast. I'm one half of the team, Tim, the Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball, no new Nico. Glad to be back. Glad that you guys are back. What's up with you, Tim?
Well, what is up with me? A lot of training. Muay Thai is very difficult. It's been a rough week of training in Muay Thai. It's pushed me a lot physically, and I'm learning new skills. And I did not know that so many people that are in high levels of fighting don't do fundamental stuff. I think it's a testament to how great of a coach Jamal is, because the stuff he talks about and the stuff that he explains, it blows my mind that I don't really see it at a high level. And I think it's good that I decided to take this journey of expanding my martial arts knowledge, because when I watch fights now, I start to notice things that are occurring, and I'm getting pretty good at predicting what's going to happen in certain fights.
Like, what's one of the fundamentals, one of the basic things that you would say?
Checking kicks and returning. That's one of the things that I learned this week.
Were you learning that before? Because I remember you complaining. Was it Tefan, though? Like, so I guess it's not like complaining or like being like...
Complaining about what?
Checking, getting kicked by Tefan, and then I was like, oh, just check them, and you're like, oh, as if checking kicks by Tefan was easy or something. Was that not you? I was having a conversation. Somebody, I don't know. Checking kicks is a... If I wasn't having that conversation with you, clearly somebody else is struggling with that.
The thing is, I learned to check kicks the hard. I always wanted to check kicks. It's that it's hard, and that some people just don't believe in it. Some people truly don't believe in checking kicks. If they did, they would check them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Obviously, somewhere somebody didn't check it. So what I mean by check and return is like someone's throwing a kick, you check it, and then you return with your own, or you mix up in the combos. And the other night, Jamal was like, there are guys in the UFC that don't do this. There are guys that are getting paid good-ass money to be fighters, and they're not doing it at the highest level.
I think we've talked before about how a lot of people go into mixed martial arts without really delving into the individual martial arts. Like, it's very hard to prepare for an MMA fight, like, within a year or 2 years if you don't have a prior background that goes into those details of, like, Muay Thai. You really need to, like, focus on Muay Thai to, like, really get good at all those things.
For sure. Besides that, nothing really new with me.
No. Let's talk about like the M&Ms, because I'm not gonna lie. I came in and I walked into the studio today, and it looked like Tim was on a very serious phone call with a nutritionist talking about, eating healthy plain rice cakes. They're talking about plain rice cakes, and I'm like, oh shit, Tim's been training Muay Thai. He's getting serious. Maybe he got a fight coming up. I gotta put my coffee down on his desk. He's got M&Ms right there. Like,
all right, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I have not eaten chocolate in a very long time for me. I've been going through withdrawal, and I was kind of fatigued today. That's why I had drank Starbucks. I know. I've been holding off on Starbucks.
Wait, you've been holding off on Starbucks?
I haven't drank Starbucks in almost like 2 or 3 months now. I haven't eaten chocolate proper in a while. Like, maybe here and there, but I have started cooking more and more for myself, and that's basically all I eat is the food that I cook for myself, unless I'm in a pinch or there's some life thing going on where my schedule's fucked. If you're training consistently and then you're doing other things and there's other shit involved that you got to do, it's kind of hard. I never appreciated how hard it is to cook for yourself.
Yeah.
It's time consuming. Just the shopping for it, just the preparing it, the cleanup afterwards. You got to take time out of your schedule. And if I'm training almost every day, but as far as the M&Ms go, like, I have a cheat meal here and there. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect on the diet because I don't have any fights coming up. I'm not cutting down to 170 pounds anytime soon. So I give myself a break, and I train a shitload. Like, I train almost every day. I think I do train every day now I think about it. And on top of that, I miss chocolate, but I wasn't going to eat it right there. I was probably going to save the M&Ms for, like, maybe Sunday evening.
Sunday evening? You're just going to sit on M&Ms for several days?
Yeah, because I'm not really a sugar addict like
I'm
that.
not a sugar addict, but like, I'm not just gonna sit on M&Ms for a couple of days. I had a bunch of sugar coming over here because I'm coming from like
Um,
one job to the next job. And actually, nutrition, like, normally I used to cook all of my own food and everything, but I've just been like not so lazy because all I've been doing is working, and it's just that time of like having to be able to stop work and like take time and cook. And I was texting Master Lloyd the other day, and I realized, like, it's been really hard. I've been spending a lot of money on Uber Eats, or just like not been wanting to cook or not eating healthy. And I realized like most of 2020 and 2019, like my ability to feed myself well was like contingent on Master Lloyd like coming to training late, because he used to have that deal with everybody on the morning squad that if we were at training on the mats ready to go on time and he was late, he would buy us lunch, Uber Eats, like whatever. So
damn.
stuffed salmon, like Master Lloyd eat good. And I
Nah,
realized, like, yo,
no.
I'm missing all them salmon meals, all them seafood meals, because Master Lloyd was never on time. I don't know why he would make a deal like that, but he's like historically late. So I ate so well, and now I have to fend for myself, and I don't have time to cook. So I actually ordered one of those boxes that like you have to cook the food, but it comes everything. Like, so it's 2 meals, 2 servings, so it's really 4 meals, and then hopefully I'll stop spending so much on Uber Eats.
How do you like that? Because I got one of those services, I want to say 2 years ago. One of my exes convinced me to do it. And she's like, yeah, it's great, it's really helpful. And then I realized in order for me to get enough food to, constitute me wanting to do that, it's going to cost me out the ass to have all my meals prepared. Like, I was like, this isn't enough meals for me to last a week or 2 weeks. I'm going to end up having to buy groceries anyway to cook for myself, or just I might as well go out too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, guys, one thing, they eat a lot. So I think like what they consider to be a serving for two for a lot of guys would be one. But I don't eat a lot. Like, I definitely don't eat a lot. I don't eat enough, and that's my problem. I don't eat enough for the amount that I train. Like, and sometimes I will continue to train and not be eating. And even though I don't feel sick, like I know that that's not okay. Like as an athlete, you really gotta take care of your nutrition. But yeah, you do pay. I'm only paying for 2 meals. It's like it's under $100 though. But I know like those 2 meals or they're 2 serving size each meal, so it would be like 4 technically. So that's clearly not going to be enough food for the whole week. But considering that I don't eat that much, and like I eat at work a lot, like, it's just something. It's better than nothing, because the amount that I've been spending on Uber Eats, like I got Uber Eats I meant to bring it with me, like leftover from dinner yesterday. So, I just figured it'd be a little bit healthier. I don't like eating out, because even when you eat healthy food, it's got a lot of sodium, it's got a lot of stuff in it.
Bad for you. It's bad for you.
It
And
is.
I just love being able to say that I can cook for myself. And I'm starting to get really good at
What
it.
can you cook? I want to see that, because DJ said he was cooking food one time and he was really just heating up like, those pre-prepared like mashed potatoes and yams and stuff in the microwave.
I cook a lot of chicken lately, a lot of different rices and vegetables, that kind of shit. I can cook steak, I can grill my ass off too. Like, I can handle it. If shit go, when worst comes to worst, I can handle it. I can handle myself. I am a millennial man that can feed himself without poisoning himself and others, and I'm really proud of that. Cue the applause. Yeah. Cue the applause, because we don't have
You need to get on the soundboard, man.
we need to get
Yeah.
we need to get a soundboard with all the other good sounds and quotes and whatnot. So yeah, that's what's new with me. That's what's new with you. Eating right, getting tight. I gotta get that summer bod ready. Hopefully we'll be able to go outside and like flex. I'm praying. I'm hoping. My fingers are crossed. But who knows? So what's our topic for today?
I mean, we don't have a guest this week, clearly. We were talking this week, and once again, we got into like WWE. So, and Tim is just convinced that WWE is where the money at. Everybody I
Not
talk to,
just
though,
WWE, professional wrestling like AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. These are places that you have no idea, probably, Nico. But I'm
No,
convinced
no.
that what? What are you saying? I'm convinced of.
That's where the money is. And apparently, like, I was trying to do my research because we were going to talk a little bit about money, jujitsu, drugs, jujitsu. I don't know if we did any research on the actual organization or if we were just doing the drugs. So I'm not sure. Maybe that won't be in the title. But we're definitely getting into money in jiu-jitsu. How can you get it? Where is it? How have we been making money? And that's just kind of leading into WWE apparently, because every week I have this constant anxiety that Tim is just going to abandon jiu-jitsu and go to WWE. And I don't know if he would stay with the podcast. I don't know if I could be a BJJ goon by myself. I don't know if DJ would come back. So who knows?
Okay, so let's go. Let's dial back a little bit. Number one, it's hard for me to even get DJ as a guest on the show. So in order for him to even be a co-host, he'd have to be on there every week. That's definitely not gonna fucking happen. It hasn't happened since like episode. For everyone that's been on this journey, if you guys recall, DJ has not been a consistent face on the show for almost 2 whole years. So like 2/3 of the time that this show has existed, he hasn't been here. I would love to have him on episode 100. I'm putting that out there in the universe. But for you to think that he's going to be on the show if and when I decide to abandon jiu-jitsu for professional wrestling, fame and fortune, don't get your hopes up. Number two, I would be on the show all the time because imagine I'm on national television every week. That's going to be more people to listen and watch the show. That would be even better for the brand. And then we would
Unless you get busy with the wrestling squad. I don't know how this wrestling crew is, you know.
They have enough time. These people, well, they used to be allowed to go on Twitch and have Patreons and stuff.
Used to be allowed? Are they under some kind of...
In WWE, they made it so that you couldn't do that. And if you were to have one, they would get a cut of it. It's pretty fucked up because professional wrestlers don't have a union. Mm-hmm. However, they do get paid a lot of money in the highest levels.
They do, apparently. They do. They were telling me today.
Yeah, all the boys at High Stone. See, you know, all your boys at High Stone know what they're talking about. I don't think I would ever abandon jiu-jitsu in, like, the podcast, but money talks. I would not do any more professional matches if I decided to join a pro wrestling organization that paid me well, because in case you guys didn't notice, jiu-jitsu does not pay well at all. And it's a constant struggle that we talk about a lot, right, Nico?
Yeah, so, like, how much are pro wrestlers getting paid? Because we got people like the reggaeton artists, and this is when what got my interest. I was like, even the reggaeton artist Bad Bunny was on WWE SmackDown.
He's on Raw right now.
Raw, right?
Yes.
So, and then I mentioned it at a jiu-jitsu gym, and like this other young like Spanish cat, he was like, yeah, you know, he did that song like Booker T, is it?
Booker T.
Booker
yes.
T. And I was like, how do you know? He was like, Booker T, he's a great wrestler. And I'm like,
five-time world champion. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Everybody was like getting on it. So yeah, how much does a wrestler make?
Well, Nico, in the millions, actually. In the millions. So I'm going to Google right now highest paid professional wrestlers. But I'm going to tell you a little story my buddy MVP told me about how much professional wrestlers make. So for those of you who don't know, I met MVP, like he came to Maryland to train with me. MVP he's a Hall of Fame professional wrestler, Nico. One of the best United States champions ever. I know this is a jiu-jitsu podcast, but this is all related, guys. He came to Maryland to train with me, and he was preparing to do Masters Worlds in jiu-jitsu at Purple Belt. And he came, he trained. I learned a lot about the business from him as far as just, fundamentals. I just learned a lot from him. I was picking his brain, and he told me a story that when he signed his contract with WWE, one of the things he did was he bought Hakeem Olajuwon's house. Hakeem Olajuwon is a Hall of Fame basketball player. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting that kind of dough, it's way more than jiu-jitsu. So Brock Lesnar is the WWE's highest paid performer. He made $10 million in 2020.
Brock Lesnar is the WWE's highest paid performer.
Yes.
I'm surprised because he was like, and then I was trying to look up what MMA artist crossed over. Because when I was watching these random highlights of Bad Bunny today, some other guy walks up and he's like, "Is that Bobby Lashley?" And I'm like, and like the look on his face, man, Lashley, Lashley, I don't know, but he got so excited. He pops out of nowhere. I was like, "Who is that?" He's like, "Yeah, he's an MMA guy." I was like,
Yeah, man. They got several guys. I mean, okay, so here's the top 10. Let me give you like the top 5 guys. So Triple H, although he's married to the boss's daughter, Vince McMahon's daughter, he made $3.3 million. Seth Rollins made $4 million. Randy Orton made 4.1. Roman Reigns $5 million. Brock Lesnar $10 million. So when you ask me, you're afraid that I would jump ship. My answer is hell yeah, I would jump ship. Are you fucking kidding me? When I found out that MVP, when he told me like, yeah, man, I'm about Hakeem Olajuwon's crib, I was like, what? I was like, yo. I was like, that's how. He's like, bro, you can make money doing this shit. Like when he explained that to me, it blew my mind, dog. Like it really blew my mind. I was like, I could really do this shit. And then like, these guys are making at least 6 figures. Like I'm hearing like they put out these songs now. Granted, these are from like dirt sheets and stuff, which is like the gossip of professional wrestling. But these guys make a lot of money. So yes, Nico, I would totally jump ship and do professional wrestling, but I would not leave the show. I'd try to stay at the show as long as possible.
yeah, that's what you say now. That's what you say now. But anyways, for us, people that don't have any hopes of leaving BJJ, a lot of fans or people that listen to the show always reach out and they always ask about money in jiu-jitsu. So that's why we wanted to bring up that topic of how to make it, where is it. Maybe Tim has something to elaborate on. I always say there is none.
There is no what?
No money in jiu-jitsu.
I agree. I mean, virtually speaking, there is really none. We are a very niche sport. Super niche. Like you would say, if you talk to someone on the street about niche sports, they'd probably say skateboarding, right? You would consider that a niche sport.
Yeah, skateboarding.
It's in the
X
Olympics
Games.
now, but it's still a niche sport. It's not one of the big 4, right? Now imagine jiu-jitsu, which is probably, I'd say, 1/10 of that in popularity, maybe less. It's a fraction. There's not a big pool of money involved. If you're trying to do, be an athlete in it, even a school owner. How many of those school owners, I mean, we're biased because we know a lot of successful, we think we know a lot of successful school owners, or the bar for a successful business owner in this sport is not that high. So for us, a guy that's making a decent living doing jiu-jitsu as a coach, compared to other sports or compared to like a normal life, I mean, you're average probably. It depends. It varies, but let's say on average, from my experience.
Yeah, and it's not easy. Not everybody wants to own a gym.
Exactly.
Not everybody is a good teacher. And like owning a gym is just such a headache as well. Especially, I know a lot of people in the DMV area that try to bring over Brazilians. And first of all, Brazilians can never work legally. And then there's always something that they get caught up with. So I think one of the issues when people think about money in jiu-jitsu is they like really lack creativity. A lot of people just like, because other than owning a gym, teaching seminars, private lessons, or sponsors, what other ways are there to get money in jiu-jitsu? Pop quiz, I guess.
Nico, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2006. You explained all the major ways to really get paid in this game. I think it's not a diss on the sport, but the industry that we're in is very limited. I don't think there's any way to really expand it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's no real next level. It's a service industry in a way. It's kind of like running a restaurant. You can franchise it out, but the path to that is not likely. Vanessa on the show last week, or at least a couple weeks ago, was explaining how Crazy 88 is expanding from 1 to 2 and now 3 academies, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 academies, yes. How many gyms do you know in jiu-jitsu that actually do that?
You could still do that, but even though Crazy 8 is expanding to 3 academies, how many full-time salaries or how many careers? Like martial arts gyms, they pay owners and like their primary instructors, but like I'm never gonna be like I would I would never consider like a gym salary to be enough. Maybe it's different if you're a brown belt, but like I would never consider working at a gym if I didn't own it to be enough. Would you say that you could make a living if you were just like, are instructors full time? Aren't most instructors at gyms part time instructors too?
All right, I can just say from personal experience, when I worked at a gym and I worked full time, there was times where I would wake up, teach the morning class. The morning class was 6:30 a.m. I would teach the morning class. I would try to go home and try to get some rest, or I would do some kind of conditioning. Then I would teach the noon class. It was like 11:30 to 1. If I had time, I'd probably try to go find food because I wasn't a chef like I am today, where I can cook for myself like a big boy. Mm-hmm. I was dope ass progress grappler, or I would just, people would cook for me, or I get the hookup. Then I would have to go pick up kids from school for the after school program, watch the kids at the after school program.
Kids.
Yes. Teach the kids classes, and before I became head instructor, I was stuck with like the dirty work. Like I would have to teach the unruly children, the little kids class, both classes. I'd have to try to chit chat with parents, and like you're already dealing. Like I'm gonna be pretty blunt. Dealing with suburban parents is a shit show.
And by suburban, entitled parent.
Suburban entitled, because I grew up in the suburbs, but my parents weren't entitled. My parents grew up and they remember like the civil rights movement, so their whole like snowflake bullshit PC culture nonsense, and my child is perfect, my child does no wrong. They didn't believe in that bullshit. But now, coming up in the millennial era or this era, everybody thinks their kid is perfect, their kid does no fucking wrong. But at the same time, they brought their kid here to learn self-discipline and how to act. And they come here with no fucking home training. Those are the children that I had to deal with more times than not. Then, after that, I may or may not have had to have taught. There were times where I would have had to have taught a beginner's class. Thank God I didn't have to teach the advanced class, because that was when I would train. And then every once in a while, I had to teach the night class. So that's a full-time job of teaching. And it's not like I'm not to diss people that flip burgers, because that's the service industry as well. That's hard fucking work. Feeding people is a very valuable job. We need it. But I have a specialized skill. Even at like lower belts, I'd spent most of my life learning jiu-jitsu and being able to teach it to people, and not just doing some bullshit like here's a move, roll, get the fuck out. I would actually take time. Mm-hmm. I would do lesson plans and having to socialize and deal with people and try to hustle to get privates. That's a full-time job, Nico.
It's a lot. I mean, and it's an all-day thing. Like, even if it seems simple, or like, oh, you're just picking up kids, or oh, you're doing jiu-jitsu, but you don't even have to like sweat. It's all day, and it's exhausting just to be up and out and about all day. And I know a lot of higher belt black belts that like rely on teaching, so they've injured themselves and they can't, like, torn MCLs, and they can't have surgery because they need to be able to teach their private lessons, so their ability to make money is highly contingent on their body. And it's, do you get to train all the time? Yes. Do you get to compete? Yeah, but to me, you have to balance it out. Like, I have always had a job, except the time that I was in Brazil when I quit and went down there. And then even after a couple of months, I had to find a part-time job, but I still have like the education. I speak 3 languages and I have 2 degrees and a teaching certificate, so I can always get a job. And I have a really nice job where I only work Monday through Thursday, 4 hours a day, and it's at night. So I can train at TLI in the morning, and if I could find parking at my job, I could like drive to TLI at night and be late to the evening training. So, and it allows me to travel all I want, and I can do a lot of things that I want, but that's all based on the fact that I sacrificed for years going to school and training full time and working full time and fighting full time. So like now I kind of have the luxury to do whatever I want. Like people think I'm joking around, but like when I say that like I'm gonna disappear in Angola for months, like, and you won't see me, like I'm very serious. Like I'm setting up my life where, like I have business running in the US, I have business running in Brazil, and I have a second job here, and pretty soon, I'm gonna go to Europeans and then just be out.
So you're worried about me leaving for professional wrestling, but you're about to go to a whole ass other country and disappear. We're gonna have to put some episodes in the vault for the people
but here's
home.
the thing, like I wanted to go like chase like this, like be a groupie to like these music people, so I figured I'd be able to get some microphones. I can bring a microphone. I've set up so many studios, just gotta get that Wi-Fi, and maybe I'll get some free tracks for the intro, the outro. Yeah. I'm trying to take you with me a little bit, maybe, getting to have fun in the sun.
Depends on how long. Because a brother trying to get a brother got plans for some like ass whooping. I can't be too far away from the gym, you know what I'm saying? But I'm down.
That's what's up. All right. So that being said, I wanted to ask, like, who else in jiu-jitsu do you know that has like a side hustle?
Hold on 1 second. Can I go to the injury thing though?
Yeah.
That's a good point that you brought up. The whole injury aspect. You mentioned you've had people that have torn their MCL, had surgeries or needed surgery, and they couldn't teach their privates. You know what I'm saying? Like, the side hustle is important. And I'll just say my personal experience, just because, I think people would be interested in knowing about it. And I think it's important because I have a lot of lower belts that listen to this show, and I have a lot of up-and-coming people that listen. And I want to go back to, you said it's a business. You look at, it's not a full-time job so much. To reiterate your point, you need a side hustle because at the end of the day, it's a business and it's next man up. There's an old saying that goes, you shouldn't be too pressed about this job that you work at because you could die today. Your job will be up before your obituary. Like whatever the thing is called, your job description, whatever it is they put in the newspaper. I as you can tell, I don't work a regular job, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying though, right? They'll put your job in the newspaper before your obituary. Like I got injured once, and I almost died. Right? I almost died, and I was in a hospital for a week. When I came home, they just fully expected me to just go back to normal, like there was nothing wrong. They're like, when can you come back to teach? You can get back to work. And the thing that hurt me the most is I was told, like, make sure you take that week you were in the hospital off your check. I was like, damn, not even like, how you doing? Like, I don't even remember them really asking me if I was okay.
Yeah, that's messed up.
But I'm just like, damn, like, I've been here for a while. I just told you the schedule I did, right? All the responsibilities I had at that gym. And they expect me, we had like a meeting. Like within a week of me being home, we had a meeting. They were like expecting me to go there. Like, are you gonna come to the meeting? Are you gonna come to the meeting? Are you gonna come to the meeting? I'm like, motherfucker, like I just came back from the hospital, like literally almost died. And it came to the point where I realized what you're saying now. You need a side hustle. And I think these people that we're gonna talk about, or we may brainstorm about, because at the end of the day, we really don't know who's really making bread. Like, I don't know personally. We can make assumptions, but people be lying. But side hustles. Your question was, who do we see or we notice that has a side hustle and is doing well? First one that comes to mind right now for me is Muhammad.
Dang, that was gonna be mine. I thought you would go with somebody else, but yeah,
We can start with him. I
definitely.
got plenty.
Muhammad's one of the biggest one. I don't know how. Does everybody in the U.S. see the amount of work that he's putting in Brazil in Portuguese?
I see it. I just don't understand what he's saying.
Okay.
I be seeing it, like whatever algorithms he's fucking with. The boy got it on lock, and he's got like the frames, and he's got the subtitles, and he's consistent, and he's got the ads that I don't know. It's in Hayash, and I don't know how much.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, Muhammad Ali has always had a YouTube channel, and that's kind of what, even before he was a world champion, he had a big platform, over a million people on his YouTube channel. And he was always giving advice. He would do soltinhos, which were interviews with different people from jiu-jitsu. He has interviewed so many people. And then last year he started stepping it up. He started an online motivational course, and then he played off the words. He called it Motivationali with his name on it. And
Clever.
he launched it in Brazil. Which notably is really hard because we do that kind of shit in the U.S. all the time because we're a first world country when we have the internet and our cell phones work. But in Brazil, it's not so much like that. It's a completely different market, and it's a lot harder to really navigate and push into like electronic learning. And he did it, and he killed it. He smashed it. Like, he made more money than, I'm pretty sure he invested more money than my part-time salary in marketing for it, first of all. So like, you gotta really invest. Like, if you want to make business moves, like, and let's just be clear, like, Muhammad's making business moves. He's not making moves in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's stopped training jiu-jitsu for large periods of time to focus on learning how to market and do shit like that. So I think it's really important to like point that out, because I see a lot of Brazilians. I guess I shouldn't hate on Brazilians. I see a lot of people that want to be athletes very resistant to like study, but Muhammad really studies a lot. So he studied video editing, and he studied marketing. He invested in the marketing, and he launched this course. And now he's doing like books. He's doing like series. Like, he's just doing everything. He started doing all the videos by himself, but now I know he's paying somebody. So he's just kind of leveling it up. So his goal is to be a millionaire by the time he's 30, and he's almost there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Muhammad would probably be at the top of the list. He's
Definitely
killing
at
it
the
all.
top. And I like how he's Brazilian, and he's known in America. He made a lot of strides here, but he's bringing it back to his base. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in Portuguese, and he's helping the people that from where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really dope. And like, people are fucks with it. You know, people are like really like, I could tell just from the amount of comments whenever he's on live, there's a shit ton of people, and it's real engagement. It's not just like, you know, some people play with the bots and some people do this and that. Muhammad's really putting the time in, and he's really helping people. And I think that is the key, since we are in a service industry, whether we like to admit it or not, is helping people. I just wish it was in English so like he could help me, because like it looks like he's doing a fantastic job with motivating people, and he's an expert. I see a lot of people that are kind of influencers or fake jiu-jitsu influencers with no credentials. And that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother video. But I just want to say it's refreshing to see someone with the credentials that Muhammad has, pushing so hard and saying, I'm more than an athlete. He's basically a coach. He's a businessman, and he's putting it out there, and he has credentials. He's not just telling you any bullshit. The man has been there and done it several times, and he's giving it to you, and it's all him. I think a lot about Alec Balding and what he said. You got to own your own masters.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of owning your own masters, and I think about correlations between other businesses and other industries, Nico, I have another idea of who's doing it right or who's really hustling out there.
Who else?
Whoever owns BJJ Library, and what is the other one? It's
BJJ Library is Chandra Higuero, isn't it?
I think so, but what's the one that Bernardo Faria
BJJ Fanatics.
and BJJ Fanatics? Whoever the people that run that are making bank and doing it right. Because I look at it as if it's a music label. Think about it. They own the masters basically. When I was talking about the train wreck system, which is still in production, it's just a lot of stuff going on. But they were talking to me and they were saying, "Oh, we'll get a cut of certain percentage, right? Right?" And I'm thinking, "Damn, they want this percentage? I should just do it independently and take all of it." And then I thought to myself, "Wait a minute. If they're getting this much percentage from every video and everyone's just too lazy or just doesn't have the ability to record it on their own, that's just like a music label. When you make an album, you get a cut of it, but they own it in perpetuity. They're always going to have it in their library. They're a one-stop shop. They're like the Netflixes or the Hulus or the Disney Pluses of instructionals."
I mean, yeah, that's always been a business thing. I remember trying to negotiate a couple contracts with Today over stuff like that. Not just instructionals, but with merch and things like that. But it is hard because not only do these companies film it and they have the quality to do it, they also have like the means to disseminate it. Like, it's hard. Like, if you don't have the platform to get things out or to disperse it, it can be a little bit hard. But BJJ Fanatics definitely is doing a lot of great work. It, like, again, world champion Bernardo Faria got that world champion title and then was like, fuck, this doesn't pay me anything. So he is invested in that company. He has a partner, and I believe I tried to figure out who the partner was, but I have no idea who it is. But they're definitely covering a lot of grounds by like solidifying, not only having his academy and teaching, not only being a competitor, but also having a company on the side where he networks and works with a lot of people. It's definitely the way to go. BJJ Library, are they still doing stuff?
I don't know. I just one of the ones that came into mind, but I just think it's passive. It's a passive way to make income. That's next level. That's the level that, hopefully we with this show can get to at some point, hopefully, fingers crossed. But just me personally thinking about it, like, it's hard as fuck to do it any other way with the injuries involved and just so much uncertainty. You've really got to find the hustle, and then that's the biggest one to me. Well, one of the biggest. What they're doing with just documenting all these techniques, holding them on to them, and always having them. You're always going to be able to go to them. And they've become synonymous with instructionals. Before, it used to be guys would just release a DVD, but now it's like, oh, fuck it, I just go to this place and I record my shit and I get a little easy check.
But I think there's so many instructionals now. It's like, it's overwhelming almost. Like, it's a headache. And I think one thing that you pointed out really when you were talking about Muhammad is like he kind of differentiated what he was doing. Like, he targets the Brazilian market, like, and it's a very different market, and he has it kind of all to himself. Because there's nobody else, no athlete in America that has the skills that he does to, like, reach people on social media. Like, people don't know how to edit. They don't know how to email market and things like that. Alliance, the team can do it. Like, how when you sign up for something, like, randomly on a website and you get emails, like, every day and they're so annoying and, like, you don't think about it. But, like, those kind of things, like, in the end, a lot of times work, or they, like, communicate with you. And Muhammad was able to, like, reach his audience. I think a lot of people just go out on social media and they're like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, but they don't really think of, like, who it is that really fucks with them, and they just kind of produce whatever instead of, really trying to make themselves different. Like, with BJJ Goons, like, I get a lot of response in America, but I know damn well, like, with favela jiu-jitsu and everything else, people know me more outside of America for that work. Like, my target in those industries is Brazil and then England and a lot of Europe. We don't hit as hard in America, and so when I do content like that, I keep that in mind. Like, my target market isn't always the American market, And I don't think a lot of people think about that when they're marketing themselves as a personal brand, or think about the fact that you need to do something other than have a personal brand. Get a skill, be a photographer, be a writer, do something like have a skill that will allow you to do jujitsu and not kind of just depend on jujitsu for it.
I would say doubling down on your strengths and using them like you just said.
Because who else we... Oh, wait.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to just say that for me, it was just a thing where I wanted to just have a podcast, and now it's gotten to the point where it's like kind of one of the things that I'm known for in a lot of ways. I think that I've always had this thing where I like to talk, and I'm very insightful. Like, I like to think a lot, and I like to bring topics up, and like I like to converse with other people and learn from other people. So I like interviewing people. I like talking about topics. And I never forget, we were at Worlds, and Shanji asked about the podcast. It was like a couple years ago. I was like, oh shit, like, if I was just doing jiu-jitsu, it'd be one thing. But if you bring something new to the table, I'm pretty good at talking to people. I mean, you're listening to this podcast right now, so obviously we're doing something right. If there's, like you said, video editing, do the damn thing. If you're really good at instructing, do the damn thing. But most importantly, own your masters. Do not, and I repeat, do not end up working for somebody else. Because if you're working with someone else, it might be easier. However, you don't really own the shit in the long run. But what were you going to ask me, Nico?
I was going to ask this time. I was going to say another person would be Rico, though. Like,
Rico. The Flash. Yes.
Rico's just crazy. I don't know. Like, you probably know Rico longer than me, but, like, Rico just kind of crazy. He like music. He like craziness. But he has manifested all of this in, like, fashion. And it kind of works for him. And it's, like, out of this world, which makes sense. It goes with his personality. But, you know, that's what he does when he's not on the mats. He, like, tries to get into designing clothes, which is completely outside of jiu-jitsu, you know, but it's something that if he could actually get, like, merch is hard. Like,
yeah,
inventory is hard. Like, just this tiny things, like, you don't just need a shirt or a sweater, like, you need something to mail that in. You can't, you know, it's very easy to not think about the packaging, the mail, the tape, and all that other
tracking
stuff, you know?
Inventory.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of
customer service.
Photo shoots, marketing, like angry customers, they're a big thing. Like, so Rico's been getting into all of that, which is really dope.
It's fantastic. Make sure you guys support black businesses. Astrology by Rico, the Flash Staten. Mm-hmm. Of course, you want to support Favela Jiu-Jitsu. Who do you think is the GOAT of making money in BJJ? The GOAT.
Gugel.
Who?
The general. The head of Alliance. Like, he's got it all.
Yihi Paeva?
He's from Rio. It's Fabio Gugel in Sao Paulo.
You think he's the GOAT?
I mean, yeah, he's the head of Alliance. Because here's the thing, like, Terere is broken away from Alliance for, like, because of their academy fees. So, like, I know that Alliance has affiliate fees that they don't fuck with. So, yeah, so if he's, like, that team, this amount of years, with the email marketing that I just explained to you, and, like, the fact that I know Gugel don't fuck with social projects, not for, like, he do not mess with them kids from Dream Art. He's all about his money. I would say, like, he's low-key rich. De La Hiva is probably, like, of just, like, but these are, like, the OG names. These are not, like, our generation of people are scrapping. Like, so, but, like, of just to be like, oh, this is old money, old jiu-jitsu money, I would say, like, De La Hiva's got to have, like, a little dynasty of affiliates, low-key, and, like, branding and all that. Gugel's got bank. And then of our generation, Muhammad. And then there's a guy in Africa, I would say King Lobao, who I've seen, but he's King Lobao, and I would say this is like the best instance of like trickle down economics because he has money and he had it all, but he's done a lot to invest in the sports industry in Angola to kind of like change it and make more opportunities and make it kind of recognized internationally. That's kind of how I know a lot about Angola because of him, and a lot of poor people hate that because they hate him because he comes from money, but like being able to create that access and that opening and that window, like what he's doing is revolutionary.
That's dope.
And he got money. He with them shakes.
I know a few guys that are famous in this sport that have Sheikh or Arab sugar daddies, and I've said this once, I said it twice, I said it a million times on this show. I'm easily bought. So if you're an Arabian sugar daddy, please hit me up.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you the same question, but sugar, like you can't add the sugar babies. Like I talked about people that have money. Who do you think are the big hitters? And I want to know about old money, new money, because that's interesting, Gujo. When you think about those old gyms, whoever started IBJJ,
All right. When you said Gougeot, I was like, who? And I was like, oh, Fabio Gurgel for everybody at home, because I was.
Our accent.
I need to work on my Portuguese accents. God, Anyway, the only one that I have left on my list in my mind would be IBJJF. They are the GOATs of making money in this industry. Here's the game plan, folks, from my understanding, from what I've seen. You get a cheap-ass gym to hold your events at. You have several events. They have like probably hundreds of events a year everywhere. Like freaking everywhere. I remember when it was just the Grand Slams they would have, and then they had the New York Open, and then now it's everywhere. Fucking everywhere. So that's number one. Number two, you charge competitors out the ass per tournament. Even if you sign up early, it's $100. I almost said 100 bands. $100. $98 at the lowest.
It's only 40 in Brazil, so when I do disappear, if you do end up in Brazil, hit me up, DM, I'll help you register for tournaments.
For
only $40 for IBJJF. I mean, IBJJF is a little bit easy, but you gotta know your shit. Like, why pay $100 in the US when you could be on the beach and pay $40,
Not everybody has it like you, Nico, so.
No, I'm just saying, I'm gonna try to, jiu-jitsu tourism business. Need some money? Let's do this. You want to partner with me? We can get this popping.
All right. So you have to pay to be a member of the IBJJF yearly.
You got to pay to get in. You got to pay to be a member. You got to pay to compete.
And if you want to get a degree on your black belt.
You got to pay to get the degree.
Listen, okay? When I saw how much it was going to cost me to get that shit, I fell out. I fell out on the mats in my crib. I was like, what? How much to get a degree on my belt after all that money I spent with this company? I can't knock the hustle. But goddamn, I mean, they just bent me over the barrel, hit me raw with no grease. Just damn. And I had to pay it because you can't even have your own affiliation if I decided that I wanted to have an affiliation.
No,
even though I don't really think I would want to coach. I mean, if I'm WWE champion, I don't think I'm going to really care too much about opening a school.
Oh, yeah.
Just playing, folks. No, not really, but a boy can dream. I think those are the GOAT. That's the GOAT of GOATs. I think it's Carlinhos.
I do think it is Carlinhos. I think I've met him, but we're going to add a new segment to the show. It's going to be things that Nico doesn't know. And, it's because I think I took a picture with Carlinhos because I was in Baja with some gringos, and they were like, ah. And then they're like, yeah, he owns IBJJF.
Mm-hmm. He does. You don't even know, Nico. I mean, I wish that I had that kind of experience that you did where you just everything's new to you. You're like a newborn in the game. Everything's new. You know a lot of people, but you don't know a lot of people. You just kind of go through it and you're like, oh, it's all good. It's all Gucci. And I fucks with it.
It was funny because I took the picture. I was with Europeans, so clearly they were white. And then I took the picture back to the favela and I showed them to black people, and they're asking for a discount on on tournaments. That's how I figured out who you were, because that's what they said, asking for a discount. I was like, why? And I was like, so that just goes to show you the difference in perspective.
You should have. Maybe he could have been your BJJ sugar daddy.
Hey. Rose Gracie, she is the lover of all social projects. The one that has... I really wonder what it's like to be a Gracie, because, in all honesty, I went down to Brazil really inspired by the work that Kira Gracie does, because she had a nonprofit, and that because she is a Gracie, that nonprofit was an actual nonprofit, which is extremely hard in Brazil. But now it's it seems like the Gracie name is kind of synonymous with being racist, and I'm not saying that's my belief or that that's okay, but that's just my perception of everybody
Yeah.
being pissed off right now.
Yeah.
Gracie's are getting a lot of shit. Like, even Hyen's documentary, like, I know Hyen, he's a cool kid, and then I just kind of watched it quietly. It was just like, by myself. um, because right before that came out, him and Hockey like shaved and dyed their hair blonde, and I was like, I know you guys are Brazilian and all, but it kind of
What?
looks like,
Very Aryan to
yeah, it
you?
looks really.
It's pretty problematic.
And then we'll go off that racist shit, like, because black people in like the favela, it's very Terere-esque too. But when you're
Terere was
the
the
white,
first
like
one.
when you're not black, but you know, there's just that racial tensions of 2021. You know, if it's not insurrectionist or snow or something going on, but.
I mean, they just stole his whole swag, bar for bar. You know what I mean? Hey, man, listen. Everybody biting off at Terere. Pretty soon, everybody's gonna want their own motherfucking feature-length film. After Terere has his.
Yo, so apparently they're finishing that up. They gotta film some scenes in Los Angeles, and they're like, oh yeah, you can go over, because I couldn't go to Brazil. I was supposed to go there for the filming, and I was like, oh yeah, like maybe. And then I was like, well, when are they going? And they're like, well, as soon as they open up the borders because of Corona. And I was like, well, maybe I don't want to go over there and see them. Like, if they can't get here because of Corona and they're coming from Brazil. And then, like, I follow, like, that's why they didn't go to Brazil. And, like, they confirmed, they're like, yeah, the numbers here are just getting worse. And, like, people act like there's nothing. And I was like, but that, you don't see the problem there? Like, so it's just like a whole mind fuck. But they're almost finished the movie. I didn't even realize there was going to be a part in the U.S. that they were filming. I really would like to go over and see them. Like,
I want to go to the premiere.
Yeah, like for the premiere, I think I think I would definitely have to fly internationally for the premiere, especially like if it was with my family. You know, I gotta go down and see it with the squad.
You got to. So, Nico, part of the show we were going to talk about is like, how is it for us hustling in this game? I talked a little bit about the past for me, but how is it hustling in this game? How do you feel about it? What do you think about it?
I mean,
how's it for you? Your experience?
I mean, I already talked a little bit about like everything that I do. So again, like I have a job and I can work, and I think that makes it easier for me, because I don't know how many people you've seen that want to be, and it happens maybe a lot more with pro MMA fighters that have come to TLI and like quit their jobs to like train full time, and like, or be the next Sadiq Yusuf, because like Sadiq did that. Like, Sadiq took a schedule like you had, and some people do that. Like, they'll live at the gym, and they'll do all those shitty jobs that normally only pay, like, $7 an hour. But Sadiq got to the UFC, like, and it's hard to say, like, oh, like, how do you know if you're gonna get to the UFC or you're not gonna get to the UFC? But like, Sadiq also had a master Lloyd who invested a lot of money in him, and not everybody is gonna do that for you. Like,
no.
Take, for example, Johnny Walker. So, like, I also used to live and train with Johnny Walker, like, in the UFC. And, like, he got kicked off of the team because of this same thing. Like, he didn't have any... Like, we all lived in a fight house. I lived in a fight house. I wasn't really paying rent, but, like, I had my own money, you know? But, like, we were all living there, training for free, living in a house for free. And, like... And then, like, more people were getting help from, like, the coach of PRVT, Paraná. And, like, they got in a fight because, like, he was helping Johnny so much. And then, like, Johnny wanted more money for food. And then Johnny had the attitude like, yo, I'm gonna be in the UFC one day, you need to invest this money. And he was really cocky about it, and they kicked him off the team.
Wow.
Like, did he get into the UFC? Yeah. Like, but did he go to school? No. Did he have any skills? No. Was he willing to get even a part-time job? Maybe he did a little bit of security. But, you know, like, when you take whatever job that you can get to try to be a fighter, it's very hard because you get the shittiest jobs in the shittiest hours. So I think that's very hard. Like, I prefer to be able to, like, you know, sacrifice a little where I've been able to work the way that I want to work and, like, make the most of my training schedule.
Well, I'm going to sound like a Debbie Downer, but and you're probably just going to shake your head at what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Listen, although I've had a lot of great experiences doing this, if a young person came up to me and asked me, Mushmaster, I want to be just like you. I want to do jiu-jitsu full time. I want to be a world champion. You know what I would tell them, Nico? Fuck no. What are you doing? No, don't fucking do this. No. I did that, so hopefully you won't have to go through that. Hell no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? I used to live the dope ass, broke ass grappler life. I told you guys my training schedule. And before the Rona hit, I was balling out of control because, seminars, privates, all these money tournaments, it's great. It's a lot of fun. But I had to eat dog shit to get to that point. I had to suffer. And at a certain point, you got to realize, like, this is fun. This is a great thing to do with your life. But man, at the end of the day, we're just roughhousing with each other, especially in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, it's a martial art. It's great. It helps people. But you trying to be like a professional competitor with your life, I would get a job. I get a degree. I have a degree. So I'm glad that my parents forced me to go to college. My parents did not give a fuck. Now, granted, I have certain things in my life where I lucked out. I just hit the lottery having certain parents that were just so gung-ho and so pressed for me to go to school that they didn't give a fuck. They're like, you're going to college. I don't care if it's a degree in basket weaving. You're going to get a degree and get the fuck up out of here. And I'm blessed that I did that because I have something to fall back on. If I had certain people in my life that did not give me that advice, I would have been asked out in a lot of different ways. And I wouldn't be as comfortable as I am now in life. Because I'm going to say this, and it's going to offend a lot of people, but fuck it. I keep it real. We keep it 100 here. When coaches or people tell kids that, you should just do this full time, fuck everything else, that's irresponsible. And I think by telling someone that they should work in the gym instead of having a side gig or getting a degree or just let this be your job, that's really fucking irresponsible. And it's self-serving because no gym is going to pay you like that. No gym is going to pay you like that. You see on social media all these coaches say, oh, this is my student, this and that. You're not going to get the Sadiq Yusuf Master Lloyd plan, okay? That is a rare, one in a million lifestyle that you're going to have. That whole custom model Mike Tyson shit is not happening in jiu-jitsu. It's not happening in MMA. It's not going to fucking happen.
It takes a lot to get there. I mean, I think a lot of people are very entitled. It's a lot of Sadiq sat around and dealt with a lot of shit to be able to earn what he got back at him.
And his life situation was different. And not everyone has the support. And I'm pretty sure his family looked at him like he was fucking crazy for doing it.
Always.
I had a degree, and at least then it gave me some kind of clout with the family where there's like, you're really gonna do this for a living? Like, yeah, fuck it. But I know that if worse comes to worse, I have a degree, I have skills, I can go do something. And I grinded to the point where I learned enough skills where if I had to, I could open a school. But as far as you doing this full time, young people listening or anyone listening, if you're upset at the fact that you have to work a job, be happy that you have a job. I say that you can still do both. I talked to Jamal. I talked to a lot of guys that teach or have coached. And they're like, man, a lot of guys have a side gig or a job. So you need to have a career. The Rona hurt a lot of people. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this podcast, if I didn't have other things that I had already set up, if I didn't use the lessons that I learned in college about, financial literacy, about networking, about doing all these type of things, and just being able to survive. That if I just lived in a jiu-jitsu bubble, I wouldn't be able to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think
I think financial literacy is the big one, because we didn't get into like the drugs and BJJ, which we were going to talk a little bit about high rollers. There were some other topics we were going to move to Patreon, but one thing that the guy that mentioned, King Lobao, did, like, he came from money, but he did take like off of college, he asked for like a year to train full time, and one of the things he said was like, he really had to be like have financial intelligence, because his parents weren't just gonna pay for this shit while he was doing jujitsu. He had to be going to college, so he's like, he really had to budget his sponsorship. And I remember you just talking about like missing traveling because you miss your hoe days, and like that's a very serious thing. A lot of athletes are traveling around the world just being hoes and like living it up and partying because these places are dope, y'all. And they're not thinking about like their future and the fact that they're gonna have to, like, maybe they should save the money and not try to go buy that drink after the tournament. It's very easy to just get caught up in like, oh shit, I'm going to Abu Dhabi, I'm doing this, I got this extra money, and not really think about what you're doing with your money when you get your money.
Yeah. Saving or investing in something that can help you in the future. Like, I built a gym basically in my house, and it's an investment because it's another place where you can bring people in, you can film your content, you can teach private lessons, you can do all types of stuff. And I think a lot of it is short-sighted, but I just really had to I know we talk a lot about money in BJJ, but it's an important topic because I just think it's really irresponsible when people tell people to do that or tell you not to go to school. I mean, you talked about it before. Young cats that go certain social projects and just tell them to fuck off from school. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to put the name out there if you want it. I'm not going to blow up the spot, but yeah, man, get your education and have fun with it. Like, having a backup plan, a plan B, a plan C, or having that extra money in the bank will make training way more fun and make competing way more fun. You just gotta have that side hustle, man. You gotta protect your chickens.
That's very true. That's very true. All right, so we need to end this episode, but I will leave you with like one last funny thing. I think we could maybe do a giveaway off of this. It's like, all right.
Okay.
So I used to train in Novo União with Jose Aldo, and I remember we were coming back from running sprints on the stairs one day, and he was telling me about like the old school days in the UFC, and like how Brazilian fighters, it really matters in which country they fight in, because like, if you don't fight in the country where you are from, you get double taxed when you take your money. So like, if you pay tax, like if you're in Brazil and you fight in the U.S., you pay U.S. taxes and you pay Brazilian taxes. So like, that shit matters. But he used to tell me about him and Day Day. They would come back with like $10,000 just like strapped to their bodies.
Yo.
Just like sneaking it in. But Jose was very, very intelligent with what he did, and he invested his money in a lot of things. So I was gonna say, we're gonna do a little giveaway if you can tell me what businesses Jose Aldo has invested in, and we'll throw you some free Mushmaster merch. We'll make a post on Instagram.
Yes, we shall. Well, listen, Nico, I think this was a very important topic for us to talk about. I kind of feel like the old, angry, bitter guy, even though like I'm not old at all, but I think that we had to talk about it. Like, you have a lot of great insights about this subject. You're one of the hustlers in the game. You're what entrepreneurship in the sport looks like, And I just felt like we had to talk about it because I wish that high-level people or people in the game had taken the time to tell me about the pitfalls. But, you live and you learn. You can catch us at BJJ Goons Podcast on Instagram. You can catch me at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram and Facebook. Nico, where can we find you?
Make sure to follow me at No New Nico on Instagram. Search Nico Ball on any other platform, and you'll probably find me as well.
Guys, this has been the BJJ Goons Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Peace.